Hello, everyone. It's Kristina, and normally I'm on early morning, but I did let you guys know that I was going to do a late night session tonight just because I couldn't make it this morning. I had a meeting at that particular time that I couldn't move. So I'm here, and we are going to talk about overcoming imposter syndrome. And this one actually came from the audience. Someone reached out to me. I don't like to share names unless they are okay with it, but they reached out to me and asked me if I would do a talk on imposter syndrome. I think it's something that many of us have experienced. And really, when you learn the tips to try and get past some of this stuff, then you really can soar. So I'm going to let the room fill up a little bit. I'm really happy that everyone's showing up. I can see that the room's filling up now. Really excited to be here. I missed my morning chat, but I have time this evening. So it's working out beautifully. Let's start welcoming people into the room. So who do we have here today? So we're going to say hi to Robert and Yannette and Jennifer and Joanne and Sarah and Dana and Tiffany and Janet and Teresa and Justin and Gwen. Hey, Robin. We have Alan. We have Mika. We have Jan. We have George and Renee and Donna and Darren and Paige and Mark and Heather, and the room continues to fill up. So I'm really excited. I think it will be a really powerful talk. I'm looking in the crowd to see if the individual that wanted to have this conversation is here, but she may show up. Yeah, she may show up in a bit. And remember, if you don't catch it on the front end, you always can listen to the recording after the fact. But the key is, if we're talking about these things, it's really important, because my whole thing, whenever I do any of my talks here, it's all about empowerment from a really truthful place. And when we're empowered, we can make different decisions and we don't get paralyzed or stuck. And that's the whole point, right? We want to be able to shift and have peace of mind and be liberated and do the things that we want to do and not be paralyzed in fear. So let me introduce myself before we get started. My name is Kristina Holle. I'm the founder of the Authentic You Coaching. I help individuals, even executives and organizations worldwide, to connect with their higher side and really lead a more productive and fulfilled life. My background is I've been in corporate for 25 plus years. I was in senior HR leadership roles for major organizations, global organizations. And during COVID, I wrote a book. And this book is called The Authentic You, Unleash Your Leadership Potential. And this book has changed my life. It changed my direction completely. I never dreamed that I would be an author. And from that book, I shifted my entire career. And now I'm here having my own coaching business and doing really cool things like running retreats and different programs and really helping people unlock so they can do what they're meant to do. So I'm really happy that I listened to the call and I just followed through, because that puts me in front of you guys here right now to have this specific conversation. So today we are going to talk about imposter syndrome. And like I said, this topic actually came from the audience, and I'm very open. I can talk about many things, but if you ever have a question or something that you want to learn a little bit more about, please feel free to chat with me behind the scenes, and I can very much put it as a part of the agenda that we can have a conversation about it. For those, before I even get into the conversation, I'll continue here as well. For those that are new to Noom Vibe, maybe you're new to this experience of being in a room. The way that I describe it, it's kind of like you're in a virtual room right now, and there's different rooms to go down in this hallway. So you're in a virtual hallway with many rooms. And my room right now is doing a talk on imposter syndrome. So you have decided, along with right now 125 other people, to walk into this virtual room and hear me speak about this topic. But the really cool thing about Noom Vibe is that it is a part of a collective community. So you actually can engage with me and with others while the conversation is going on. So first, typically every coach has their different style. I like to get into the conversation, share some insights, some wisdom. And if you walk away with a couple of wins, then we are winning for everyone, right? But what I will say is that the stage button is the plus button underneath the little sleeping cat. If you are interested in coming up, then hit that button. If there's something that inspires you in the conversation as we get going, please feel free to come up and then I will pull you into the conversation. The other way that you can engage with the room and have a little fun is, I always say, show me some love. So if it's not only for me, but it's also for some of the people that come onto the stage, if you're feeling it, you can hit that button. Can you do that for me right now? Hit that button in the middle of the screen to show some love. That's what I'm talking about, girls. So, and when you do that, that means that we can see you doing that. We know what you're talking about, right? So then it's actually showing all of us that, hey, we're all in this together and we're engaging. Look at you guys, like on fire right now. So if you're loving something that gets said or you want to be a part of it, then hit that love button, share it out, because it really helps with the flow of the conversation. Hey, Daryl. So if with the flow of the conversation, when we do that, it's really great because it's not only the leader who's speaking or the coach that's speaking, it's actually for the guests. I truly believe that the teacher will appear when the students are ready. However, it's a two-way street because I learn from you guys just as much as you guys may learn from me. And then when you're showing a little bit of love, it helps others understand that, hey, oh, we're learning from you. We're really excited. And I haven't even started. I'm going to bring James up before I start talking about imposter syndrome today and see what he has to say. So as you can see, the numbers counting, well, maybe you can't see that, but here he comes. Hi, James. Oh, see, he may have hit the button without knowing. James, are you there? We'll give him one more chance. James, I see. It's not to worry, because we can easily, sometimes by accident, people will hit their button and somehow they end up on the stage. But you see how easy it is for people to get off the stage. So if you're new and you just want to say a few words, or, hey, Kristina, I loved what you said, or you may have a question, maybe you have a question about imposter syndrome today, then hop on and we can talk about it. But never feel pressure to stay on the stage. If you want to get off, then you just we can easily move this around. It's supposed to be fun and engaging, and we are so happy to have you here. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about imposter syndrome. And this is something that I believe that gets thrown around quite a bit, about imposter syndrome. And you may have things where you don't quite feel as though you're good enough, or that certain things aren't really meant for you. But we're going to talk about that today. I think we're going to debunk some of that stuff for you. So have you ever felt as though in your life you didn't really deserve things that are presented in front of you? You fear that one day people are going to actually discover who you are, that maybe you're not as capable as they think you are. Well, let me introduce you to what imposter syndrome is. That is exactly it. It's these narratives that you believe that you are not good enough. That little voice that goes inside of your head and it says, oh, if they find out, they're going to laugh me out of the building. Or I don't really belong here, but I'm just nodding and I'm smiling right now because I just don't want to mess this up. Or maybe another would be, hey, I just got lucky. I'm lucky I'm here. The voice is a liar. The voice is telling you lies right now. So wherever you end up, and if you're sitting in certain situations, honor that for the greatness of what that is. When you start telling yourself that little story that you don't deserve to be there, automatically, do you think you're showing up as a power play, or are you going to hide behind this image? And one really breeds fear, right? If we feel as though that we're not deserving, or that we may get caught out, then we could be putting ourselves in a situation that is not going to allow us to win. So we see this a lot in business. And I hate to say it, with a lot of females, sometimes they will speak to me and they feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it all. I don't know if they really find out that I don't know what I'm doing, they're going to just set me free. And the reality is, everybody has had these feelings. It does not discriminate. This little voice only takes power when we allow it to take form. And it actually affects high achievers, entrepreneurs, and creatives, and even those in professional roles. They're the people that want to be at the top of their game. And when they feel as though they finally achieve something, instead of honoring it and really appreciating it, they start to downplay. But I know when I shifted from being a corporate person and shifted into being an entrepreneur, that is a part of the transition. That little voice like, hey, do you really think you can do this? Do you really think this is for you? They're going to know that you don't know what you're doing. Well, and the fact is, I totally know what I'm doing. But that voice that we all get, we got to just tell it to silence. Say thank you, but no thank you. When that voice comes up, no thank you. When it says, well, you're not good enough, I want you to start to reframe it in a way that you're like, no, I got this. I worked hard to be here. It's very different language. If you start shifting the narrative around, oh, I don't belong here, and you start saying, well, no, I'm exactly where I need to be. So here's a little trick for you from what I've seen throughout my 25 years in business. And I even say it to my kids. So if this is something that resonates with one of you, I think it's great. I would always promote to be a small fish in the big pond rather than be the big fish in a small pond. And the reason why I say this is that you always want to be in a position where you're still capable of growing. If you're top dog and you've landed at the very best possible place, how are you learning? Your capability can start to diminish. So you may want to think about, hey, maybe I got to get into a different pond, or maybe I got to get into the ocean, or I got to shift in some way or form. I think it's really important to understand that we are here to learn. So instead of feeling insecure about not knowing all the answers, or that you might not think you're good enough to be in that spot, perhaps we need to reframe the narrative and say, oh my gosh, I'm here. What can I learn? I know how to do these things. How can I build off of that? And when we do that, it is extremely powerful. It changes the dynamics completely. And the reason why I use that analogy with the fish in a pond, it doesn't matter if it is for hockey or if it's for business or for anything, right? Any situation. Once you get to that point where you've capped out and you haven't moved out of that space for a long period of time, you might start going the other direction. You might be shifting into, hey, I'm going to start living small because it's safe. I am the top dog here. I don't want to give that up. But what happens is that that's not good either. And then the little fish, and I'm using these analogies because I find that they really make sense. The little fish, instead of feeling like, oh, I don't belong here with all these people that are so experienced, it's about reframing, right? Starts to look at it like, what can I learn? And I'm going to grow and I'm going to learn from all these people around me, instead of talking yourself down, not honoring the celebration of what is happening. Did you work really hard to get there? Why aren't we honoring that? And the way that we can do that, this is a little trick. So these are some tips to get over imposter syndrome if it's speaking to you. Is the way we can do that is that to celebrate your wins, your little wins, write down everything. I want you to feel as though you're very accomplished in what you do. And because you are. And when we have a tendency, I think we've been conditioned a certain way that we can have all this good, and then one person says something that doesn't make us feel good, and then we seem to focus in on that instead of focusing in on all the positive stuff. So I want you to reframe that. I want you to start really thinking about all the compliments you got. They said to you, why are you there? And I'll tell you, there's always going to be people, and I'm going to go back to maybe it's one of those really big fish that they've been there too long, and they may want to diminish you in that particular time instead of pumping you up. But that's about them. That's not about you. That's about them because they've been in the role for how long doing the job. It's really easy to be a pro when you've been in the role for 10 years. And then you have new people coming into a role, and maybe they're a year in and they're still learning. Like a lot of my clients, they may be professionals, and sometimes they're just getting leadership roles. And think about when you try anything new, it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable at first. It's almost getting the new shoes, right? That they're a little bit, you got to get used to them in order to fit. So I think I want you to keep, I don't know who needs to hear this today, but I want you to keep this in mind. Be kind to yourself. You're learning. Your approach and how you address that is going to make a big difference. If you beat yourself up because you're not learning fast enough, because it's not clicking yet, or that you're scared that you're going to get judged, then you're really doing yourself a disservice. And I want you to think about whether or not you're doing that. I have seen so many people do this. And I've been fortunate enough where I can jump in and I can get them to pause and stop and ask yourself, is it serving me well to get frustrated that I am not where the senior person is, and I just started my role in that, whatever capacity. It could be you got promoted, you could have moved to a new department, you could be doing something new. And like I said, you could even use this for sports, you could use this for anything. This is really, the imposter syndrome stuff really starts to kick in when you are pushing your comfort zone. And I want you to push your comfort zone, because when we push our comfort zone, that's how we grow. And if we don't push our comfort zone, then we start to diminish. We go the other way. That's why I was talking about the big fish. I'm like, oh, wow, you're the big fish, but you've been there 10 years. What are you doing now? What's the next step? What are you doing? And I don't know, I've seen it throughout my career and with people that sometimes people get very comfortable in their skin when they're like the big fish, let's say. And they like to put people in their place. They like to knock people down and may not be promoting growth the way that you would like to see it. And if that happens, it is one of those things where if we're not feeling solid, we could actually listen to what that person has to say and then start questioning ourselves and putting ourselves in a mindset that is not serving us, where we're punishing ourselves. I want us to move away, and anyone who's ever heard any of my shows, we're moving away from punishing, fear, limitation, and we're moving into love, compassion, care, and kindness. And the truth is, we have not in our society given enough attention to love, care, and compassion and empathy. Now we're starting to do this. This is why these conversations are so important. When we start to shift, you get results. You actually get better results for yourself when you allow yourself to flourish rather than to punish. So we've talked about this before, where you can have a plant. And there's studies that show you talk to a plant. My nonna, my grandmother, used to always she's like, you have to talk to the roses. When you talk to the roses, they love you and they grow and they blossom. And I would be like, I loved it. So we would talk positive words. And these roses were the most beautiful roses out there. And then there's studies, if you speak poorly to plants, they wither and they die. They do not grow the same way. Humans are exactly the same way. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that how are you speaking to yourself? So imposter syndrome, to me, the flag to imposter syndrome is when I start hearing certain things. Let's see, I'm a fraud, and it's only a matter of time until they find me out. It's so pervasive of fear, right? They're just waiting for the second shoe to drop. Do you think that that's healthy for yourself? Is it fair and loving? Is it the way you would speak to other people? But yet we do it for ourselves. We don't allow ourselves grace to be in the space that we need to be in. And I think that that makes a big difference. I have Anitra coming up. Let's see what she has to say. Hi.
Can you hear me?
How's it going? I can hear you. How are you?
I'm well. I'm really appreciating your topic that you have about imposter syndrome.
Oh,
Very interesting.
very good. And what's speaking to you, my dear?
Well, again, that self-talk, the positive self-talk versus the negative self-talk. One of the things, I actually had this conversation today. One of the things that we can quickly recognize is when others are disrespectful to us or they say something that's hurtful. And they used to say that words didn't hurt, but we know now how powerful words can be, and they're very hurtful. And so with that being said, just piggybacking off of what you said about the kind and compassion words to yourself and speech to yourself, sometimes people don't realize how abusive their self-talk can be. It's abusive. And so when you put it into that term, I've noticed that when I talk to people about these things and I use the word abuse, it's like a light bulb goes off for them that they don't think about it that way, but it is actually, they would not take that from someone else. They would say it's abuse from someone else. But again, a lot of these negative things that we have to say about ourselves, a lot of times they were planted. And we're providing the fertilizer and the water and whatever else it takes to grow. And we don't know that. So that really hit home when you said that about the negative self-talk. And also about a lot of times I see too, people will put on a humor mask and they get tired of that. The imposter syndrome you were saying about waiting on the next shoe to drop. Somebody today was just telling me how one of the worst things that they do is sabotage. They are not comfortable when things are going well. And so if things are going well, they start looking for things to go wrong because they're not comfortable with peace and serenity and happiness and joy, because it goes back to what you just said about not possibly not really feeling like you're worthy of having some peace or having joy. And so they start self-sabotaging and they want to stop doing that. But you have to recognize that you're doing that before you can stop it.
So powerful. I totally agree. And sometimes we don't even realize that we've picked up these things that we do to cope. I love what you said about the abuse, because when we say the word abuse, right, words have power. All of a sudden, it's like a wake up. It's like someone shaking you and going, would you put up with emotional abuse this way? And you're doing it to yourself because you don't think you're worthy. It's powerful stuff. And the other part that it speaks to me because I can relate to it, humor. So humor is good, but when you start to diminish yourself through humor in order to fit in, I'm embarrassed, honestly, if I'm going to speak honestly. I have laughed at things that I didn't think were funny because I wanted to fit in at a particular time. That would never happen now. But that's a part of some of those things, those behaviors, because you didn't feel as though you were worthy to be there. So you had to do things that you might not necessarily agree with.
That's what I wanted to share about that, because in that old saying, I took a positive psychology seminar last summer, and the professor was saying, we no longer want to use the term fake it till you make it. We want to practice until you make progress. We want to practice to make better. We want to practice to make habits. But even if you feel, if people who struggle with a lot of depression and anxiety, even if you don't feel like smiling that day, don't feel like you have to fake it till you make it. Say, try to pick and choose when you want to practice trying to smile. Not that you're faking it. Because anytime, and this speaks to the imposter syndrome, anytime you try to tell your brain, we're going to fake this, the brain never adopts it as authentic or real. It's going to always be fake to you and superficial. And you want real experiences. So that's what I want to share. Good,
Well,
good
it
topic. I
was,
love the topic.
Anitra, thank you so much. And feel free to hop back on. Very powerful share. So I
Thank
appreciate what
you.
you shared today. Thank you. And guys, you want to show her some love? Look at you got some love. Anitra, it made me realize I had to speak about it. But that humor thing for me is one that we all have something, right? And I think about early in my career when I would be laughing at things where I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are idiots. But I didn't say that. I laughed. And I will never do that again, as I was saying before. But I think that that's why these conversations are so powerful. And we learn not to sit there and self-deprecating. Sorry, I just said it weird, Paula, but to self-deprecate, right? When we actually knock ourselves down in order to fit into whatever circle that is. And it could be career, it could be, and I love what you said, and this is why it shifts and relates to me about career. There's a whole thing around fake it till you make it. And that has been around. I've been in HR for 25 years, and so many people have not gotten support because of fake it till you make it. So we just put people in positions and we're like, oh, figure it out. Don't let them see you sweat. You see all these things. Again, we wonder why we have mental health issues because we've been teaching people to conceal how they feel. And being the small fish in the pond is actually a beautiful thing. That means that you've set yourself up properly where you're constantly growing. But we have to put ourselves in a position where we are loving ourselves and we're doing it in a very positive way and that we're not self-sabotaging. And what was said again, I'm going to go back to the word abuse. I really love that you shared that because it is abusive. If we were walking down the street and we heard someone, I just think about this. If I heard even a stranger going, you're not good enough. Why would you even think that you could have that? Oh, God, good luck to you. I hope that works out. Can you imagine? I know I would want to stop the person and have a conversation, but we don't do that. That's why this conversation is extremely important. And I think that's why someone asked, hey, Kristina, can you do a talk about this? I'm like, no problem. Another one is saying, and I'm a Canadian, we are totally trained to say, I'm sorry all the time. Sorry, I'm rambling. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Sorry that. When we are doing that, you are minimizing yourself again. It's indicating that you are lacking self-esteem, right? You're apologizing for sharing your thoughts. And I'm telling you I've been a very strong female, but now as I have really integrated and understood on a deeper level, I was doing that stuff all the time. But I thought I was being polite, right? I would want to speak, but, oh, sorry, can I say this? Give me a break. Of course you can say that. So I think that that's when we have to stop doing these things that we're self-sabotaging. How about, I'm not really capable as they think I am. So what are you doing in that comment? I'm not as capable as they think I am. Oh my gosh. You were doubting your own ability, self-doubt, full force, and you're overestimating what other people can do. Everybody has had this feeling. Every single person will feel uncomfortable when you are in a different position. I'm going to say a different pond when we're doing the fish in the ponds. When you shift from one pond to the next pond, it doesn't matter. If you shift from your comfort zone, you will automatically feel uncomfortable. It is natural. So instead of punishing yourself for all of that stuff, then why don't we embrace it and say things like, oh, I'm learning. I'm scared, but it means I'm learning. I don't know yet, but I'm learning. I'll figure that out. Wow, those are empowering statements instead of the punishing piece. And when we understand that, I think that it really starts to come together. Even when we say things, I think maybe if, right, you're not coming across confident. When you do that, you are like if I were to use an example, instead of opening a door to a room, it's like you're tiptoeing in when you say things, I think maybe, because you've automatically diminished your thoughts. The qualifiers that you're putting in front make a big difference in how you show up from a confidence perspective. If you say something, oh, I would like to share this idea, very confident, instead of maybe, did you think about this? Right? You can hear it even in my voice right now. There's a difference in how it gets conveyed. If you're saying things like, I just got lucky. I got this job. I just got lucky. What do you think you just did to yourself? These statements automatically diminish everything that you worked hard for. I want you to honor that you've worked hard to shift from one area to the next. It takes guts to move from one area to the next, right? To have the courage to step into this higher way of being. And when we understand that, then we can be like, well, no, it wasn't luck. I actually worked for it. It's not just chance. It didn't just fall into my lap. I had the skills. Maybe your skills aren't fully developed yet, but that's fine. If you, and I will tell you from my HR lens, if you are coachable and you are open and you can learn, the skills will come. Just like I was saying with that fish that has been in the pond, that's been there for 10 years and it is such an ace. They've been there for 10 years. So don't judge yourself against something like that, because that does not make any sense. And I would argue from my professional lens, well, what's that fish going to do now? Are you going to either coach and mentor and help people feel great about learning? Or is it time for you to move to a different area where you start fresh? Every single person has gone through this cycle. Now, the difference is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to get stuck in it? And you can still grow and learn things. But if you are mean to yourself while you're doing it, I promise you are not going to excel the way that we need you to excel. But if you're kind and you're showing up in a way and you know that you're not a fraud, you're actually supposed to be there. That's the exact place you're supposed to be. That's how you grow. It's really funny because there's this whole fear around being exposed. Oh my gosh, what if I don't know? So what do you think a good response is if you don't know? If someone asks you a question and you don't know, you could respond like this. That's a great question. I don't know yet, but I will find out for you. Is that not empowering? Does that not put you in a position of power where you're not feeling less than because you didn't know? Because I know that stuff does not even bother me one bit. And I don't want it to bother you either. If you're holding on to things that you were nervous about responses that you may not have in the moment, and you're scared that you're not going to look a certain way, or you're scared you might feel as though you may look weak or not strong or not confident, not deserving, I'll tell you a little secret. That is not about that particular moment. That is rooted in something that is deeper. It could be a deeper need to be perfect. It could be a deeper need to look like you are strong and smart. And this is where the work that I do is helping you understand, let's not just do superficial fixes. Let's go to the root cause. Where is that coming from? Is it from when you were a little girl or a little boy where you felt as though in order to get love and attention, that came from having a really clean room? That came from not disturbing the peace at home? Believe me, I've done so much work around transformation. And when we really understand, the core issues are never about the particular moment. It's always stuff that you brought this false narrative into the present, and it could even go into the future. And the reason why I say that is that if we're talking about imposter syndrome, if you are coming from a healthy place and you are full, imposter syndrome does not exist. It just doesn't. You show up in a way where you're like, hey, oh, that's a great question. Let me look into that. I'll get back to you by whatever date or whatever. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you're not going to feel as though that you have to hide. You have to prove yourself. You have to laugh at jokes that aren't funny. And I'm a funny girl. I used to laugh a lot, but I got hooked into this, right? I'm going to laugh in order to not be the next target. Like, this is not healthy. I can recognize that now. But for me, I thought it was very clever. It was how I survived. But honestly, it's not healthy and it should not happen. But I love it. That's why I want to talk about it, because I think that whatever it is, if it's your people pleasing, if it's staying quiet, if it's making sure everything looks perfect, all that stuff, you could be causing your own angst. And we were saying before, fake it till you make it. Let's throw that out the window, because that's not helping. That's actually just adding more of the blocking your emotions and not allowing you to learn or feel supported in certain environments. So let's go back to that fish analogy again. Fish in a small pond. Wow, they're so great. I would always recommend you should always be the small fish in a big pond. Always be learning, always pushing yourself. But you have to be comfortable with not knowing what those answers may be. You got to be comfortable working in fear. You got to be comfortable in understanding to ask a question is okay. Understanding that you believe in yourself, that you can learn, and that this is a part of the process. It's almost like this is how you break out of it, isn't it? You don't get stuck in there's only one way to be. There isn't. They wouldn't have brought you into that situation. It's not lucky that that unfolded. It's because of all the steps that you did to get to that point. Now, if you're at a different level now, it's, oh my gosh, levels. Let's talk about video games. Once you master a level, you have to get to the next level. And then when you get to the next level, you're a junior again. You don't know, but do you give up or do you keep going? And I think that that's a big part of it too. Do you keep going? Because when we do, that's how we get results. That's how we grow. And that's how we find all these new skills. And I think when we understand that we no longer need to diminish ourselves, we just need to honor, hey, I'm excited to be here. I'm learning. Oh, it's coming together. It's a challenge, but I love a challenge, right? It's about the progress, not perfection. It's about the progress over perfection all the time. And it's interesting because I have clients and I have friends that for a very long time, they live their life around perfection. And for me, I think it's a waste of time, because if you cap out at perfection, you may have automatically limited your growth as to what you could bring to the table. And when we understand that, it's an eye opener. What if you could go past perfection? Because who's defining perfection, by the way? What if you could actually exceed the dynamic of what's being asked of you? So maybe you're going to be bigger than the big fish, and maybe you'll do that in 5 years instead of 10. But the way you show up for yourself is what's going to make a huge difference. If you're heavy on yourself, heavy on your heart, and you're punishing yourself, nothing good's going to come out of it. I guarantee you're probably going to hate your job or hate whatever this new thing is. And anyone who is used to working with me, we're always pushing our comfort zone. We're here on this planet for a reason. We're here to learn. We're here to fall. We're here to learn. We're here to learn and grow and learn and grow. But that's a part of putting ourselves in healthy, uncomfortable positions. I had a friend that, oh my gosh, my friends make me laugh because they always show up and we end up having I need a Kristina fix, and let's do it. I have one that actually, I have more than one. I always seem to be around when people are going through major transition. And one of them was like, well, I don't know if I want to go back to my job after mat leave. Well, What are you thinking? I don't know. So then we did some work, and anyway, she decided to go back to be a midwife. And I'm like, that's perfect. Does it speak to your heart? Are you excited about it? She's like, yeah, I am excited about it. Well, let's just go for it. So she went, and I remember in the beginning, she's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I've had this multiple times. What did I do? Keep going. You don't stop. And then eventually there's a breaking point of the, what did I do? Oh my gosh, why did I do this? Oh gosh, if they find out, can I go back? No, you can't go back because you made the decision, I'm going to grow. You did not want to be that big fish that's there for 20 years and didn't make the move. So once you make it, and it's funny when she's like, what did I do? And it got better. And then I got different kind of conversations that she was learning, and it was exciting and all this. Now she's been a midwife forever. And now she brings life into the world. Think about that job. She brings life into the world. That to me blows my mind. Going from office job to bringing life into the world. But that took her stepping into that comfort zone, out of that comfort zone, and being like, oh my gosh. And normally I have it's kind of funny, and I actually love it. My whole philosophy is like, I'll give you a push, and then I'm going to push and a hug, and we're going to get you out of that stuckness and push you to the next stage for yourself. And when that happens, it's so beautiful, because when people can see that they can do it, and they're doing it. Now she's a full-on midwife. I have another one who changed a long-term job that she was in forever, and she went, and now she's a corporate executive. And I'm like, amazing. It takes courage to say, I'm going to go. I'm going to try this. I'm going to push myself a little bit. And then when we do, and you understand, it's not imposter syndrome. I actually, if I'm going to be honest, I can't stand the name imposter syndrome, because it gives an excuse for people to feel less than when they're moving from one comfort zone to the next. This is about growth, and it's really about honoring who you are. Like I said, let's get to the root issue. Love yourself so much that you're meant to keep growing, right? It's the garden with this flower. You're watering it and you're nurturing it and you're putting fertilizer and it's growing. It doesn't cap. Love yourself that much that you keep pouring into yourself, and you keep giving yourself opportunities to keep growing, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's a new relationship. Maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's being promoted. Maybe it's speaking up. But it's no longer putting yourself in a position where you are diminishing yourself and putting out that message that you're less than and you're just happy to be there, because that narrative doesn't work. That narrative aligns with imposter syndrome. But you're so much more than that. You're totally awesome in this moment. Just as you are, you're more than enough. Now, if we're starting with I am enough in this moment, you're like, wow, I'm enough? You mean, Kristina, I don't have to lose 20 pounds, or I don't have to get the perfect job, and I don't have to be the perfect mom, and I don't have to. No, in this moment, you are enough. You are aligned into when you start to unlock this for yourself and you see how awesome you are, you'll never want to give away your power to fear, self-doubt, judgment. You won't want to do that anymore. You'll come to realize that this doesn't serve me. Even the idea of worry, that emotion of worry does not serve you at all. It's a wasted emotion as far as I'm concerned. So if we're worrying about what people will think, if we're worrying if we're going to be showing up properly, if they'll like me, well, if they don't like you, then they're not your people. That's okay. If they, for example, let's use the job analogy. If you're in a job and you have someone who is tenured and seasoned, and they're not helping you and they're making you feel less, that might not be a great job. That might be something where we need to look at that situation. But the bigger question is, are you doing it to yourself, right? Is the perspective coming into place where you see that and you're making assumptions about that person, but it's really about you not feeling good enough. But you were good enough to get yourself in that position. And when you're in that position, you have to keep walking forward one step at a time. And the reason why I say this, and it actually kind of excites me to say this, because something ignited you enough to take it. Something sparked you within to say, I'm going to give that a try. And the fact that you did that is significant. So let's not diminish that. We want to build off of momentum, because what that tells me, when we take steps like that, we're actually leading into our own authenticity. We're putting ourselves in positions where we're like, I'm willing to put myself out there. I'm willing to do something that feels more aligned. And if it's, say it's for money, like a bigger job, but there was something there, right? So let's use the example, money. I got a promotion, I'm getting a better job, I'm going to do this. And then you step into that role, you're like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. If they find out, it's going to be a joke, all this stuff. But again, you were sparked enough to do it. You believed enough that you were worth more, right? This higher paying job, that to put yourself out there, or that you wanted to learn. So if that's the case, don't retract, don't run back, embrace it and be like, I am learning. This is awesome. I listen to myself. I'm putting myself in uncomfortable positions so I can break free, because I want more in my life. And it's very possible of having that. And I know this because I'm living it right now. I live it every single day. I'm doing heart-led things. And I have moments. I think every single person has moments of imposter syndrome. Like Oprah Winfrey probably has moments. Albert Einstein. Like, think about it. At certain points where they may have felt like they were frauds. You know why? Because they were different from the rest. And instead of feeling less than, that you can't fit the mold or you haven't done it quick enough, maybe you weren't meant to fit that mold. Maybe you're meant to trust yourself and love yourself enough to step forward and do whatever you need to do. And when we think of I call them the greats, when we think of greats in our life, they stand out because they stand out from a place of authenticity. They put themselves out there and they really started to step into who they are. And I would say every single one of us has that capability. That's why on my show, we're always about empowerment, and we are squashing the things that don't serve us, like fear, doubt, guilt, all that. We got to put that aside, but I can share that with you, but will you do it? That's up to you. But I know for a fact, because I've seen it over and over again, this is when things really change. This is when imposter syndrome kind of goes to the wayside, because you're like, hey man, I love myself. I'm going to show up. I'm going to take that job because I worked hard. I deserve to be there. Cool. I'm here, and I'm going to allow myself space to grow and learn and practice and do these great things. Like, that is so awesome. I want that for you. When we start looking at other people to evaluate where we are in this whole thing, then we might be putting ourselves in a situation where we're already less, we're behind. That's why these talks are so important, because even if you walk away with a couple of nuggets that you can work on, you can start pushing your comfort zone and saying, I am going to follow that spark. I'm going to be scared, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to talk to Kristina about it. And that's no worries. We're going to push through that. Why? Because you deserve it. It is, I say this all the time on my show, it is your birthright. You are meant to live a beautiful life, regardless of circumstances, regardless of how things have unfolded. You know why? Because you have the power to make choices in how you respond. And I want you to love yourself so deeply that when you step into new roles, that you can do it from a place of love and compassion for yourself, and also have fun with it. Because honestly, you want to be that person at the end of your life where you have regret, where you're sitting back and you're kind of, oh, God, I wish I would have wrote that song, or I wish I would have really tried to do the art show or whatever it is for you. When we understand that, it gets extremely powerful. So the point that I'm trying to make, guys, is that all of us have this capability of greatness in us in this moment. All of us do. We just have to start shifting the narrative. And instead of saying, I don't belong here, I want you to start saying, I am exactly where I need to be. Instead of saying, I'm not ready, I want you to say things like, I'm learning and I'm growing every day. Because when we use these kind of words, it's so exciting. You actually start to shift. There's a book out there called Growth Mindset. Well, it's called Mindset, and it's by Carol Dweck. And I love this book. I've done workshops on this book. It's extremely powerful. But there was, and I've shared this before on a previous show, but I'll share it again because this is actually in line with growth mindset. There was 2 studies done with children, and they were probably like 6, 7. And they were playing these games and they're trying to get their highest scores. So there's group A that was very structured and they're trying to get an A plus in completing these scores. They had metrics that they were hitting. And group B, the other 6-year-olds, 6, 7-year-olds, they did not have metrics. They were just playing. They would play and then they would try to put this puzzle together. Some would work, some wouldn't, and then they would keep going at it over and over again. And the stats show, the results were that the group that did not have metrics exceeded the group that did have metrics. The ones that hit the A plus, they stayed in that category. And in fact, they started to worry, they started to lie, and some of them even cheated in order to get perfect results over and over again. Whereas the other group was playing, they were engaging, and they exceeded the record. They just kept going. And they were not fearful of it, of the approach of learning. They were actually very open to learning. So when I say to you, hey, I'm learning and I'm growing every day, wow, what a liberating statement we can say to ourselves. That is a game changer in how we approach things. So maybe wherever you guys are, maybe write that statement down, because if I was working with you, I would say that to my client. I'd be like, you need to write this down. You got to put it on a Post-it and you're going to put it on your computer. I am learning and growing every day. And when you say that, do you think you're an imposter? How can you be an imposter? It just doesn't sync up. It doesn't make sense. Because it's like, well, how can I be an imposter? It's like the little kids that are playing. I'm playing and I'm learning and I'm growing. You can't tell me I'm not doing that properly. I'm just in flow. I'm doing my stuff. It is so beautiful because it gives you space to grow and to do really great things. And the reason why I said before to celebrate your wins, I used to live by this. So when I was doing really big transformational work in Canada, shutting down buildings and integrating them, but with all the people, thousands of people, when I was doing all that stuff, I would celebrate all the little wins all the time. So much so that I had senior leaders go like, oh my God, Kristina, you celebrate everything. Absolutely. We celebrate everything. You know why? Because if we're waiting for the big thing, it may never come. But if you build it off of little wins as you go, that's how you build momentum. That's how you start moving things and things start to actually become more fun. Oh my gosh, we did this. Hey, look at this, right? And everyone starts being a part of that process. And there's no imposters in that process because everyone's being joyful and they're having fun. They're growing. That whole growth piece is happening. And there's another piece to that. When we start logging, and if you're feeling really unsure wherever you are, start logging it. I love journals. Start writing all the things that you're really proud of, accomplishments, your successes, even the compliment of, hey, you did a great job today, Julie. You did a great job when you did this presentation, or you did this. Hey, I really appreciate the way that you showed up at this soccer field. Maybe it's from a coach. I think that we need to do that. And the reason why I would recommend it is that when we are in situations where we feel a little bit shaky, and if we don't have someone in our court at that particular time, I always say that your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So if you don't have good people around you helping you, then you can go to your list. And when you see your list, sometimes we're so busy grinding and doing stuff, we don't really realize all the awesome things that we've done that make us deserving to being there, which is awesome. So when we understand that doubt is going to creep in, why? Because we've been conditioned for doubt to creep in. But I'm telling you to say it's not necessary. It's not helping you. Just worry and being a control freak, it's like too much. And that's when, honestly, now I'm going to get into it, but that's when your mind is overtaking the situation. When anxiety starts kicking in and you start overthinking things and you can't shift, if you're in that space, it's inevitable that you're going to have imposter syndrome. It makes sense, doesn't it? Because your mind's on overdrive. It's just go, oh my gosh, what if this? If they find out that I'm a fraud, and I'm like, wow, you're talking to yourself that you're a fraud? Are you joking? You're amazing. You deserve to be there. But if you show up with confidence and you are doing your thing in a very healthy way, people are not going to judge you the way that you think that they're going to judge you. If you ask for help. So this goes into another piece, guys. And I have learned this one. I think this is going in my second book. I'm writing a lot about this, which is coming along nicely. I've got 200 pages now. So what I will say, this goes along with vulnerability. And for a very long time, vulnerability was not seen as a strength. I didn't see it as a strength. Why would I see it as a strength? We've been told that we needed to kick in doors and be seen, and you had to be loud, and you had to really make a presence. At least I was. That's what I would do in business all the time. And for me to go out, I was actually talking to someone about this today. For me to go out and say, hey, I need help, or hey, I'm struggling here, was like, I rather have my arms cut off than to have that conversation. It's not even an exaggeration. That's how hard it was, because this is what happens with high achievers and people that are taking on all the expectations of the world. They're holding everything on them. It's hard to ask for help. So what do you think happens? They just keep holding on more and more, and then it just keeps going. The anxiety, the burnout, the overthinking. But vulnerability is one of your best strengths. When you can actually speak your truth and you can say, hey, do you mind? Like I always say to people, I've coached this many times, but hey, I'm at capacity right now. Do you think you can help me with this? Use that phrase. It's a good phrase. I'm at capacity. So you've told them where you're at, but you've also reached out to say, hey, I need some help here. Can you step in? And I think that that is so amazing when you can start to understand there's such value in that. It allows you, because I've come to realize as I've done more work in this space, the expectations that are put on people are not realistic expectations. And it goes back to that idea that maybe some of us might be doing it to ourselves, where we just keep adding them more. So by the time you show up somewhere and you're like, oh, I don't even belong here, I better fake it till I make it. Like these sayings, right? Fake it till you make it. Suck it up, buttercup. Just put your head down. It's not healthy. I'm telling you, it is not healthy to be on that track. And that is only adding to the mind congestion and noise. So when we talk about vulnerability, that is leaning into heart space. That's leaning into truth and being able to say, hey, I need help, or showing compassion for another person and showing some empathy so to support them. because you're not alone. Imposter syndrome happens to everybody. But the key point that I'm trying to make, let's get to the root cause so you don't have to feel imposter syndrome. Feel comfortable with feeling uncomfortable as you're growing your comfort zone. And when we understand that, you are putting yourself in a position to grow. So when you're scared, I would say act anyways. Keep going. I have a thing on my wall, courage above fear, all the time, because you'll be so grateful you did it. You'll be so grateful you stepped over the line to put yourself in a position where you're growing. It may feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but that's okay. That is normal. And then time passes and then you become comfortable. Then it's not uncomfortable anymore. And when we get to the point where we're acing it, I would suggest that maybe you need to look for another comfort zone to step out into. That's how we are constantly learning, and we're kind of playing around with life and doing this really great stuff. And I want you to do this because that is what's going to build your confidence. When you can see, hey, I'm very capable. I may not know it now, but I'll figure it out. I'll put it together. I'll do what I need to do. And when you do that, you learn to trust in yourself on a much deeper level. And that to me is priceless when you really think about it. You're not here by accident, wherever it is. You're not there by accident. You're there because you have something valuable to offer. So next time that voice starts to take over and stall your growth, I want you to speak up to yourself and be like, I am enough, I am worthy, and I am exactly where I need to be, because that's truth. But we have to keep going on that particular path. Well, I have talked for an hour. So if anyone has anything to share, is there any sort of examples of imposter syndrome? If any of you want to come share, you're most welcome to. I want you all to know that you're so worthy of great things. And when we understand that we may be getting in our own way, I want you to feel empowered that we can change that. And it's not diminishing what has been going on, but my job is to get you out of it. So it's natural to be in that space, but you have to be able to shift and move out of it eventually, or you're going to cause yourself more angst. And I want you to be so confident and feeling great when you do get a new role or you're in a new relationship, but not because you're proving to them, because it's who you are. And you know that is yours and it will unfold as it's meant to be, right? You're not trying to say, pick me, like me, accept me. No, that's not coming from authenticity. When you learn to love yourself from a deeper place and the core value of who you are, there is a completely different dynamic that shows up. It's actually so amazing because it's an inside out job. And you love yourself so much where you're like, hey, I'm going to show up and I'm like, hey, I'm going to take this job or I'm going to try and do these things. And I'm doing it because I want to learn. I'm doing it because I think I can do it. So let's give this a try. It's a very different approach. Everything I believe now that I understand it and the path that I've been on, this inside out approach will change your life forever. And you will live a life of complete fulfillment. Oh, I'm okay. I got Peter to come up. This is so great. I've been talking a long time. So Peter, come on up.
I felt horrible. I was in my recovery meeting, virtual one, but I had you in one of my ears listening.
So I'm like, well, I'm going to do my thing. I'm just going to see what people take.
I was trying to tap out, but it finished, and I'm glad I caught you. Listen, imposter syndrome is a thing, right? And we know that. And yet, I still do it. Every time I'm in recovery, for those of you who don't know, for about a decade, I've been in recovery from prescription pain meds. And so every time I get up there and tell my story, every time I share, every time I coach in recovery, there's always this little voice inside of my head saying, you're not worthy. What are you talking about? You still have this.
Oh, no. He's going to come back. saying you're not this, you're not that. I think we've all had that voice.
Hey, sorry
See
about
what
that.
Come on back.
Thanks,
You're not this. You're
thanks for holding space, right?
of course. You're
Yeah,
not this. You're not that.
right. But what for me it keeps creeping in, right? And the fake it till you make it, I've used that terminology. I'm going to switch it after tonight, after hearing Anitra and you go into some depth about it. For me, it had value in that better to do something than to do nothing and sit in it, right? So
Yes, agreed.
probably not the best phraseology, but as I was kind of listening to you guys, I noticed, excuse me, throat. I noticed that pattern that reoccurs in my life and of imposter syndrome and not thinking that you're worthy and do you really belong here? And you start looking around the room, depending on what room you are, and there's always that comparison. But in the language that we have learned as children, some of these programs were given to us, right? And we heard mom or dad repeat them, and those self-defeating sentences and those thought patterns, those are there. Those they're there since childhood, and I've always been that way, or my mom's been that way. It's just the way I am, perhaps, but it's not the way you have to stay. Because if it's bothering you, right, to listen to this talk, perhaps, and it's just keeps showing up in your life, this whole changing your talk to positive self-talk. If that keeps showing up in your life, whether you're listening to Kristina Holle, whether you're listening to Instagram, name it, that's the universe telling you you have to take a deeper look, explore it. So self-talk, positive self-talk, is really a language unto itself. And for the last hour in my right ear, I've been hearing you speak that and speak those empowering words, right? And I think it will do us all, I'm definitely going to do it, but it'll do us all a favor if we go back and we really listen to these things and really write these phrases down, but then practice them. And it's going to take, listen, it took all of your life to get where you're at now, right? And it may take a little bit of time to switch that self-talk. And you'll start switching that self-talk, and you might not feel it. You're not faking it till you make it. You might not feel it yet, but those words are doing something, and they're doing their work in your subconscious mind. All those sentences that you spoke are very safe, they're very positive, and they're born out of positivity and love. And so if you start saying whatever phrase you want to pick out, if you want to change your thoughts, or I'm sorry, change a certain sentence in your life instead of imposter syndrome, what's the phrase that you guys used?
What phrase? What are you talking about? Oh, wait, what part? There was a lot. Practice. I don't know. I don't know which one.
The bottom line is you just change the phrase a little bit to the positive away from the negative, and it'll start to feel better, but it doesn't necessarily feel better right away. So when you're starting those phrases,
I have the phrase.
Kick it.
So the phrase is, I am learning and I am growing every day.
Right. So I'm going to time out, but
you can come back if you want. I think it's really important. I love that statement for everyone because it doesn't matter where you're at. It's really allowing freedom and liberation in however you're doing it, right? I am learning and growing every day. There you go, Peter.
And thank you so much for that. So when you start to say that, right, it may not feel great. You feel a little bit like an imposter when you first say it, to necessarily believe it. But the universe promises, right, that you will to believe it, and then it'll just sink into that DNA of yours, and it's that psychology of yours, and things will change in your life, and you'll see that. Really important to just switch it up a little bit and really practice some of these phrases, because if what you're doing now, right, is not working, try something different. I used to talk about trying something different, and but just listening to this vibration, I was like, got to get out of this damn meeting, my girl, because I'm listening to it. This is really important stuff because we all deal with it, I think, and if we don't think we're growing or moving, but I know that I do. But maybe start somewhere. Start with a phrase or an affirmation. Call it what you will. Words are clothed with power, right? And after a while, they're going to produce, right? And so I would just say, keep those affirmations and really just make them.
Well, I think that it's a really good point. And the reason why we talk about this stuff is we're getting to more of the root issues, right? So people can show up in a way where they're feeling totally empowered, right? So if I'm saying to myself, I'm learning and I'm growing every day, you're showing up in a way that you're allowing yourself some compassion and kindness through navigating. And it's almost like you're a little kid. You're playful in that space when you say that. Think about kids when they're navigating. Peter.
Thanks. We can feel sometimes it feels a little silly, maybe even, but do anyway, because part of you wants that. Like if you're stuck and you're just resigned to being like, this is the way I am, but a deeper part of you wants to change, right? And I would just encourage you to just give it a shot, try something different, because to me, there's nothing worse than being stagnant. You know, even if I'm it's in the wrong direction, but I'm moving. But I think I heard you say earlier about, do you really want to get towards the end of your life with regrets? You want to look back and say, I wish I had this or that, or try that. And it's really about just stepping up into the now moment, right? And taking some action to change your life. And it's just step by step. And is it as simple as changing some sentences in my life? Is it that simple? Yeah, it probably is, because that's how you got here with those other sentences,
right? The negative ones.
And here's the deal: simple. I always say that simple is not always sexy, right? But it works. It's effective. So I had all these things stored in my head about what I wanted to say, but I didn't write them down.
I
So
think
I'm
it's
here.
great.
But I just wanted to come up and support and really let people know that stay plugged into this. You're here in this community for a reason. For me, it was 6 months ago, right? I had jumped off the self-help carousel because I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I landed into this real space of new. And so if you want more of this and you're new, just stick around. Definitely give Kristina a follow. You'll get more. We'll get more.
And give Peter a follow, because I honestly, yes.
Yeah. I get in where I fit in, you know, but that's how I feel about it. But I think it's really important to change that. And like I said, I do struggle with it. I speak virtually all over the country on a weekly basis, and asked to come back time and again,
of course,
and speak. It's because my story, it doesn't change, and I'm not afraid to tell the dirt of it. I share the mess, but I also share the message that we do recover.
And also the hope, right? And the coming through it. You came through it, Peter. I think we need to honor that part. So the mess, everyone has mess, but how do you pivot? How do you come out of it? And I think that only happens when people are really being authentic in being who they are. They can tell it's real or not. It's awesome. It's good. Anyway.
And I think sometimes we're just afraid to do that. We're afraid to just be real, because there's always this comparison, and you start scrolling, and then you get Facebook and hashtag Instagram life, and nothing there is really real, right? Maybe 5% of what you see. So that's definitely not helping folks at all. But anyway, sis, I really appreciate you taking the time to let me come up and babble.
Of course. And you know what? I would say, Peter, you do a really beautiful job of meeting people where they're at. This is why I just love this community, because everybody has their different skills, right? I'm the one who's going to get you fired up and like, going. And Peter is always like, and then just do what you need to do. And I'm like, oh, isn't it beautiful? It just helps everyone.
Everybody gets what they need. And if you want a dose of honesty, and sometimes my truths are I put it out there, and I just keep it simple, and I keep it real. And I think that works. So, hey, I appreciate you letting me come up.
Oh, Peter, of course. Oh my gosh. I think that there's such beauty in this community. One thing that I will say, as I've gone through my own stuff, and I'm here speaking with you in front of everyone, and Peter is the same, and there's many others that are like that. It's from a place of truth, and you really can see the difference. You can hear it in the energy, how people are tapped in, wherever we need to go. I actually had a conversation with someone about our retreat spaces, because our retreat spaces end up really getting customized because of the experience of going through stuff that you can, and it happens on the stage here, right? Peter does it as well, right? It's all of a sudden you can see, you're like, we're going to need to pivot. We'll talk to this area around, let's say, imposter syndrome. Someone needs this over here. Or maybe we talk about negative self-talk or whatever. But when you have experienced people, ones that have actually gone through stuff, ones that have depth, we can do that. That's why the community is so powerful, is that there is no superficial stuff going on here. When people are speaking, they're speaking from truth. And when it comes through, it's, yes, my words are saying things and Peter's words are saying, but it's the energy that's attached to it. You can tell if it's legitimate. And I think when we understand the beauty of having a community that just fosters this, you're going to keep coming back for more. Because I know I do. And I think it's absolutely amazing. And as I said before, we are all learning from each other. Think about it. Today's talk came from an audience member that reached out to me and asked. And that audience member is listening to this conversation. And I want that person, if you're hearing me out, you don't have to do anything. I want you to know I'm very proud of you that you stepped forward and had the courage to bring it up, because you're not the only one. There was many people that benefited from this conversation. So we are all learning from each other. And if we can provide support that's legitimate and really helps you wherever you're at, that is magic. That is a whole different level of support. And I have always said, I truly believe that Noom Vibe is like the light in the middle of the darkness. There's a lot of chaos going on out there. And if you need support, then come to this space, because you're going to find whatever you need to find. So I have Robin in queue right now. So I'm going to bring Robin up. Let's see how she's doing and see what she has to say on this topic. Thank you, Peter. Hey, Robin.
Hey there. How do I follow
How's it,
Carrington? That's amazing.
right? So awesome. What more could I ask for? I got good peeps coming up and we're just chatting. It's great.
Well, before I go into my comments on the overcoming imposter syndrome, I just want to ask you how your head is doing.
Oh my God. That's so nice. It's
Okay.
healing.
All
Thank
right, good.
you.
I
That's so
hadn't had
kind.
a chance to check in with you, but I'm
Oh,
glad.
thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm getting there. The stitches are coming out on Thursday. So I'll keep you posted. But it didn't stop my energy flow. It's still going strong.
Good. Good. I'm happy.
Nice. Oh, Robin. All right, Rob. What do you think?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the thing about getting to the root of things. So you say, well, why are you having this self-talk? What's going on? So if you think about it, a lot of times your words in your head can spiral right down to things like where you start getting jealous and angry and anxious and those kinds of things in a certain scenario. Say, for example, you are in a new job position, or even if you worked at a job for a long time and you get a new boss coming in.
Okay. Oh, that's a good
Right.
one.
So that's kind of that reverse where you're like, hey, this is what we do. This is what's going on. And you want to come change it. You do get a change in that same kind of scenario. If you're confident in what you do, then you can speak your truth. But if you're not, you might start second guessing yourself, questioning. So away from the workplace, if you look at family dynamics. So I have a niece who, when I was, I don't know, maybe seventh grade, my older stepsister, who's just to me my sister, had a baby. And I would come, she lived with us for a long time, but then she moved out and, an apartment and such. But I would go there every day after school and I took care of this baby with her and just loved on this child. And to this day, she's my very first niece. I love her. So there's a scenario with every time, so I don't live near her anymore. And there's another aunt involved. And it's not my sister, it's actually my brother in law's wife. So I get feeling some kind of way every time I go there. I do. I get this kind of, I don't know. I'll say I go to pick up the baby, right? When the baby was young, I go to pick up the baby, over she comes and takes the baby out of my arms and, excuse me, you're here all the time. You see this baby all the time. I'm here very infrequently because I live 3 hours away.
And it's your niece, right? It's your niece.
My niece's baby. My niece's
Oh
baby.
my
So my
God.
great
Okay.
nieces or nephews. So I do get feeling some kind of a way. So in my mind, I'm like, so maybe my niece doesn't love me much anymore because she favors this lady being auntie. And this, because I've always been like auntie to everyone. My sisters are like Auntie Kim, Auntie Tara. I'm just auntie, right? I do
Okay.
get feeling what's kind of, I feel like I've been replaced, or you're doing a job, someone else comes in. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm replaced, or have I been this? Until your mind goes in a turmoil, and that's your ego.
It's true.
So on the inside, on the outside, you're just trying to think to yourself, be mature about this. This is not the scenario. I mean, you can try to talk yourself back into normal thinking, and it's so hard. It is the hardest thing. I've gotten so mad before. I've just walked away. And
Yeah.
I've walked away in such a way that people are like, well, where are you going? What do you mean you're leaving? Why are you leaving? And I'm like, I'm good. I got to get going.
Robin, come back and finish that story. It's funny, right? Because the ego wants to be the best aunt, right? The ego wants to be noticed, but we all need that. We all want to be acknowledged in some way or form. That's natural. That's being human. But do you know why she's doing that?
Maybe she feels exactly the same way I do.
Right. Funny.
It's like a competitive kind of thing. So she did this with a little bit with the first one, Brianna, and then the second one, Maxton. She really latched onto him, and it was like nobody could. Like we'd go out to they'd come here, we'd go to the amusement park, and I'd be like, "Oh, come on, Maxton, we'll go on this ride," and she's like, "Oh, I got him,"
Right.
grab him by the hand and take him. So, all right, Ariana, you come with Auntie, whatever. But it's gotten to the point where I've gotten real hot about it.
Well, and the question would be, so the whispers that you're hearing, is it like, oh, well, they must not like me as much, or I'm not a good aunt, or whatever? So interesting, because when you think about where is that coming from, it's so natural.
And I think there used to be a lot of issues of jealousy when I grew up. So,
Right. I was going to say.
My cousin from Texas came. I would always be at my one aunt's house all the time, between the two my younger my mother's younger sisters. And but one of them I would spend a lot of time there. But when the other niece came in, she got the priority. And he was coming in from Texas, sure, but I still kind of felt like, I don't know, the second two.
Well,
So
and
that's where it's coming from. Yep. Jealousy
Mhm.
from childhood. And I wish I wasn't. I love people. Well, I don't know. People that are not jealous at all. It's amazing. I don't know
Well,
how to get past that kind
well,
of.
it's your right. It's your little who wants attention. We've all had it, right? It's just one, it's awareness when it's kicking in where you're like, hey, what? So instead of going into that place, and this is what our conversation is today, typically what people will do, they'll be like, they get a little bit mad and then they remove themselves, right? So they're isolating themselves and then they sit in their ickiness, right? So you
Inside your
don't
head.
appreciate me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
You're inside your head. You can't get
Right,
out.
you're inside your
Trapped.
head. So now I think this is a really great point, right? Even for yourself to bring it up and be like, where is that coming from? That's when I say go to the root cause. Like, where is it coming from? I was always fighting for attention when we were little. Does that serve me now? Do I have proof that that actually is in play to this day? Right. So
That's a good point.
right.
That's an excellent point. And it's true because I don't feel that way in every scenario. I was never jealous of my husband at the time with my daughter. I knew she loved us equally. And that was, I never had that kind of issue. I don't have that with my brother and sister now. I don't have that. So,
Well, I just have to say thank you because your little brought that example up. So that to me is like that's something that we gotta release, right? Because it's such a silly little thing, but it's lower vibrational. And if it's lower vibrational, it's gonna pull you down and we don't want that for you.
I don't want that. I need to stay high
Oh yeah, you're
vibration. I need to heal. I need to move on. I need to live. No lowness.
oh
So I'm actually very self-aware of these kinds of things. So I work very hard on them. Doesn't mean I don't falter.
everybody. And I think I
So
really love that you share, Robin, because honestly, there's so many of us that we are learning from each other. Someone's going to go, oh, that's happened to me. Like, I get that,
Well,
right?
I hope that I can be helpful to people.
Of course you
I
are.
mean, that's all I want to do is help people.
Oh my God, we know this about you. And I didn't even ask, so you can
Thank
come
you.
up quickly. How are you feeling? How's your heart, my dear? Speaking of helping people and doing things, that's all heart space. How are you feeling?
Got my emotion,
How you feel?
my emotional heart and my physical heart. So
Let's do both. How are they? Both of them.
like I said, I'm trying to stay as positive as possible. I saw pulmonology today. They want to run a gamut of testing, so I've got to go through all that again. I've got an appointment with advanced heart failure and transplant. Doesn't mean I'm getting a transplant, just to make sure that's clear, because I'm willing that not to happen. I'm just tired. I'm tired and get really short of breath doing kind of minimal stuff, but I'm
Right.
learning about pacing and certain inner core body workouts through PT to get my posture so I can get deeper breaths to I don't have any problem with oxygenation. It's the pump of the heart. So it's really the
Right.
medical management that just needs to get really tightened. So my doctors are phenomenal. So I have no concerns about that. I have to undergo another heart cath just to see where things are. And I've got some pulmonary hypertension in the right side of your heart. That's the right heart failure in addition to the left heart failure. So that's where I am right now. But every once in a while, I still go pinch myself and say, how did this even happen? But then
Right.
genetically sat with a genetic counselor and we went through the entire family history. And I don't know why I wasn't thinking about this because I was healthier than most of my family. So I was thinking, not me. Why would it be me? My mother was 55 when she died, and it was congestive heart failure. And my Nana, same thing, her mother, my father's mother, my father's father, who I never met because he died of sudden cardiac arrest when he was 47. And so genetically, it stinks both sides.
Oh my gosh.
So the way I look at it is this: has to be a reason that I'm going through this. I think I actually,
%.
I think I actually know what the reason is, and it's to be able to help guide and educate my brother's sons are both, they're all overweight. They all have high cholesterol. They have thyroid. They have high A1Cs for prediabetes. They're not healthy. So
No.
number one is everyone, but number one is my daughter. So she's going to see
Yeah.
cardiology. My brother already took it upon himself to see his doctor, and he's getting an echocardiogram and following through. And my other
See, this
sister,
is
and
good.
so I think there is. I reached out to all my cousins, and they all have the same similar issues. None of them have heart failure, but I think this is actually a good lesson genetically to go back and say, if we want to, I don't want to continue the pattern.
Oh no.
Or I don't want my daughter to continue the pattern. I don't want her
No.
to turn in her 50s and be afraid to die. My sister was
Right.
46. She died
Yeah.
of congestive heart failure and other
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah.
so I think that's my purpose right now.
Well, I think it's bigger than that, Robin. I think that you're looking at it from your community, and I understand that, but you're sharing out now. Even you don't know who's hearing this right now. That's
Yeah.
going to be like, oh, and even for myself, my husband has had bypass surgery, and 3 weeks ago he went in and there was 100% blockage. So we were all into the heart stuff.
My word.
And then we had a great surgeon, and they put 3 stents in on the
Sense, yeah.
side,
Yeah.
which we were fortunate. We got sent back, and then we had to go back again, 3 stents on the side, and then they reconstructed his heart on the one side.
Yeah.
But boy, when you're messing around with people's hearts,
Yeah.
does it ever put things into perspective about
Yep.
your health is wealth, right?
Without your heart, you're not living.
100%.
So you need your heart. 100.
Very
Thank
true,
you,
right?
Kristina. I'm sorry. I'll be thinking about your husband too and
Oh
keeping
no,
you guys
he's good. He's totally fine.
Okay.
So this is my point. Robin, he's totally fine. So you just let it unfold as it's meant to unfold, and you're in good hands right now. And we are here rooting for you and supporting you all along the way. Robin, I always smile when I see you in my chats. It makes me very happy. And I really like your picture that you have on with your nice red shirt. Again, linking to the heart. So anyways, so I have another guest here that I'm going to bring up. George. I haven't met George before. Thank you, Robin, so much. I appreciate the share. I think it was very powerful. Let's see if George is coming, or maybe he fell off. Oh, well, George isn't there anymore. But if you want to come back up, the queue is open. But Robin, I want to say, I love the example. I think the more that we are being open about stuff, the more we help each other in our growth, because everyone can relate to the story of jealousy. It's like, whether or not do you get stuck in it, right? And when we learn not to get stuck in it, that's when it's pretty powerful, because all of a sudden we're asking ourselves, instead of being upset, sitting back and going, what is this about? Where is this coming from? And then that's when you do the deeper dive. So anyways, thanks again, Robin, for coming up. What a wonderful conversation that got sparked today. And I couldn't be happier that I got to do the later show today. I like this space, to be honest. I think it could work. I'm going to play around with it, but I am back on Wednesday and Friday. So let's close out with our mantra. I think we've had a beautiful full day, and this is the mantra for today. Are you ready? Everyone who knows, for my shows, I close out with a mantra. First, I say it, and then I want you to repeat back, and then I pour into you. And we'll do it once, you say it, and then I'll pour into you. Here we go. We're ready? I am enough. I am worthy, and I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Think about that. I heard that. Oh my God. I feel it, guys. I feel it. I feel you guys are saying it's actually really cool. Think about that. If you are exactly where you are meant to be right now, no matter, without judgment, because we're meant to learn. So whatever that situation is, just make sure you just take it in. I'm going to pour into you guys now. Ready? Here we go. You are enough. You are worthy, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It was really awesome, and I will see you guys on the flip side. If you liked what I had to say, if you want to know more about my stuff, hit follow, and then you'll catch me when I'm doing my next talk. Bye, guys. Take care. Thanks for joining. Bye.